Welcome to my channel, guys. Welcome back to my channel. It is difficult to produce a tally of Israeli military losses today. Quote, what we know, however, is that per the admission of Israeli media, the Israeli army suffered many quote-unquote difficult security incidents, end quote, not only in South Lebanon but in Gaza as well. And one Israeli minister, he surrendered, as I have put this as my title, and I will explain to you what really happened. Now let's talk about a few other things here before I move on. So basically, Yoav Gallant, he is now totally frustrated with the Israeli government, Netanyahu's decision, and basically he's saying now that not every objective can be achieved through military means done. Force is not the answer to everything. Now Yoav Gallant, he made mention a very important point the other day, and he basically said that Israel right now doesn't have a compass, means the state of Zionists, they have absolutely no idea what they will be doing with the conflict, with the genocide going on in Gaza. And on top of all of this, to make things even worse, now Netanyahu, his boss, the lunatic, is now saying something very, very outrageous. So Israel approves another retaliation, quote-unquote, attack on Iran in response to a Hezbollah assassination attempt against Prime Minister Netanyahu's house. This guy, whenever he comes out of his bunker, underground bunkers, he talks rubbish. And this is what I said on my community tab too, and this is so true. He's now taking it personally, that how dare Hezbollah attack me? I am the strongest Prime Minister of Israel ever. They cannot touch me. How dare they send a drone? Now he's planning with his ministers, and Yoav Gallant, I think he's right now very, very angry with him, with the tone and rhetoric from Netanyahu, that he is now targeting Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, because he was targeted by Hezbollah. Now let's talk about something else at the same time. I believe this is something very, very interesting. Donald Trump, when he gave a interview with Joe Rogan, he basically said something very, very blunt and very, very true at the same time. Take a listen.
I rebuilt our nuclear, and in a way I hated to redo it, but I got to realize how powerful that nuclear is, Joe. One bomb, Israel is gone, but
one bomb, Israel is gone. Sometimes it does make sense, but at the same time he doesn't. What do I mean by that is, one bomb, Israel is gone. What about the rest of the world? Any nuclear bomb explosion will be the end of the humanity that we know today. Because if Israel or Iran or Russia or US, any of these countries are hit by a nuclear bomb, do you think they will just sit there and do nothing? Of course not. They will retaliate, and we will see more nuclear bomb explosion all over the world, and the humanity will cease to exist. Now, talking about Trump, he does have followers who are absolute lunatics, and I found this lady to be one of them. Take a listen what she is saying. This is a Zionist woman asking voters to vote for Donald Trump and not Kamala.
Hi, my name is Shula. I'm an Israeli. I'm a Jew, and I'm asking the Jewish voters and all other American voters, please do not vote for Kamala Harris. She will bring a nuclear holocaust to Israel. She did not let us, she and Biden, to destroy the nuclear reactors.
Okay, so again, she's talking rubbish, nuclear holocaust, like the holocaust you're committing in Gaza. Do you not see that? But again, the lunatics, most of them, unfortunately, are supporting a candidate, Donald Trump, who can actually, order a nuclear strike on a country. And if there is one leader that can do that, I think it would be Donald Trump. Even though a lot of you will disagree, I get that. You support Trump, I get that. But this guy is unhinged. He can at any point say, you know what, just strike this country. I'm not saying he will strike Russia or China, but may go after smaller countries to test his nuclear power, because this guy is always up to do something new and exciting, because this is what he does. Unhinged guy. Now let's talk about this particular tally that I was telling you guys, that it is now so difficult. The losses of the Zionist forces, the ITF, Israeli terrorist forces in Lebanon and also in Gaza, is so much, and it is becoming so painful that it is hard to keep track. Okay, so according to Israeli sources, 10 officers and soldiers were killed, and more than 20 others were wounded in fighting with Hezbollah in course of just one day. According to Hezbollah, however, the Israelis' losses were much more significant. Within the course of 1 hour, Hezbollah declared it targeted and destroyed 5 Merkava tanks, suggesting that the nature of the battles, at least from Hezbollah's side, has entered a new phase. And we have seen this kind of a statement from Hezbollah, especially after Al-Radwan, the elite group of Hezbollah, joined the battlefield. Guys, before I move on, just to remind you again, most of my viewers are not subscribed. If you're one of them, consider subscribing. The Gaza battlefield, hospital, the total destruction and extermination of northern Gaza is as difficult as ever. So the Gaza battlefield, they're comparing it exactly with Lebanese battlefield. Why? Because the casualties and the challenges that the Zionist forces are facing in both of these places are equal. Means I would even go to one mile further to claim that the situation in Gaza for ITF is much more complex, and this is coming from Israeli military itself. They said, we never expected this. This is very, very complex. And Yoav Gallant also said the same thing. While a tank belonging to the 196th Battalion of the 460th Armored Brigade was firing at Kamal Adwan Hospital in Beit Lahia, Palestinian fighters managed to blow it up. They are always targeting these hospitals, and in this instance, when they were doing so with the tanks, the Palestinian resistance forces, they were successfully able to blow that tank up. Now, Yoav Gallant, I made mention of how they're surrendering, right? One minister surrender. So what do I mean by that is simple. The only person in the Israeli government that is making some sense at the moment is Yoav Gallant. Even though we know this guy is another monster and he's just as responsible as anybody else for the genocide in Gaza, nevertheless, he is saying something that Israeli ministers, Israeli government, they should take notice. Because he said that the Prime Minister Netanyahu, he directly confronts Netanyahu on many occasions that I have seen coming on the media, that Israel's war's objective need reassessing, saying that, quote, the war is being conducted without a compass. And this is again coming from Yoav Gallant, saying something that Israeli government should take notice of. Now, this is where things get very, very interesting, because right now Netanyahu and his government, they're becoming ever more desperate. So in addition to blocking, there is a media blackout happening in Israel. Now they're banning even UN Relief and Works Agency and UNRWA from operating inside the country in Gaza. Part of the reason, I believe this must be the case, is that they do not want the United Nations to experience this genocide and at the same time experience or see or hear the losses of the Zionist forces in Gaza. Therefore, in addition to imposing that media blackout, they are also banning any foreign individual to come into Gaza for whatever reason it is, whether it is help, it is relief, or anything, or activism, whatever it is, or journalism. But the cruel thing, obviously, with the Netanyahu, is that to protect his image, to safeguard his, career, his political career, he's killing and committing genocide and massacres and murders every single day. Just for this one man's ego, a huge population in 2 million population in Gaza is paying the price, and humanity at the same time is paying the price, because we are all saddened by this kind of genocide and what is happening in Gaza and in Lebanon. Therefore, now we really need to force or pressure the US government to change its strategy and stop helping Israel altogether. And the movement is gaining a momentum, because now young voters, they are saying that the US must impose an arms embargo on Israel, and this is going to be very bad news for Israel's future, because these are going to be the people who will be assuming power at one point in their life. When if they run for office, I'm sure some of them will definitely be in the government. And there are also at the same time reports that many US government officials, they're resigning from their positions because of this genocide. Nevertheless, Israel is conducting this bombardment, this genocide, to please just one person and his ego, and that is Netanyahu. Now Yoav Gallant, he from the very beginning he said, I don't want this war, I want the hostages to be freed, and if we have to let the Philadelphia corridor open, we will do that. We will do some concessions, as he said, quote unquote. We will allow people to get out, to get in, and bring the hostages back, because he does feel for the hostages. Now there are 101 hostages in Hamas's captivity. Netanyahu doesn't care. Guys, if you are from the state of Zionism, Israel, you understand that your government, head of state, is really playing with your lives. It's as simple as that. I will be coming up with more updates. I have so many and so much to share with you guys. I will do so in the next videos. Thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful day.